day live here on WLTX.com, as well as all of our mobile platforms. But for now, live in Columbia, Brandon Taylor, News 19, WLTX.
Great, man. That was great. Do you not write that down? That was great. Every person.
Just now landed here in the capital city here in the Midlands. President Joe Biden is making his way to Orangeburg to South Carolina State University, where he's going to be speaking at the commencement address. As you can see, we've got Congressman James Clyburn here. We've also got Columbia Mayor Steve Benjamin. Congressman Clyburn. I was trying to get Congressman Clyburn's attention. We do have the airplane. It's actually going to be to the left of us over here. It's an extremely foggy Friday morning here at Eagle Aviation here outside of Columbia Metropolitan Airport. So it might be hard for you to see this big 747 as it's decorated in blue and white and teal. This is an iconic plane. It's so iconic here to the presidency. But yes, President Joe Biden, the 46th president of the United States, has now just landed actually a little bit earlier than what we were anticipating. It's about 8:30. We were expecting him around 8:45, 8:50, so he's about 10 minutes early. But again, you can see on this misty Friday morning as the reason why the president is here on this Friday morning. Congressman Clyburn was originally supposed to speak at the commencement ceremony this morning at 10 a.m. at South Carolina State University. But the congressman, he's also going to be given an award. So the congressman said, you know what, I'm going to call my friend. I'm going to call the president. The congressman and the president have had a long history, a long-lasting friendship. They were in Congress for more than a decade. Some say it was Congressman Jim Clyburn who was so instrumental in getting the president elected. It was Congressman Jim Clyburn's endorsement of Joe Biden in the early primaries here in South Carolina, and it was after that endorsement that President Biden was able to get national notoriety. So again, I apologize. I'm trying to get the congressman's attention. You can see him over here. If our photojournalists can get a little bit closer, we see the congressman in this iconic South Carolina State hat as he's talking to some community members as people have gathered here at the airport. A small contingency, about maybe 50 people that are out here, as you can see, Air Force One. And as we are taking a look at the plane as it is coming in here into sight here, and you can see how big this plane is. These four engines, this iconic 747 as it's coming in. And Josh, I'm just going to take a minute so our viewers can just hear the engines as it's rolling by us here at the airport. Again, you can see the iconic Boeing 747 with the tail number 2800 as it is making its way here to get into position at Columbia Metropolitan Airport. Again, President Joe Biden, the 46th president of the United States, is in town to speak at South Carolina State University, where he's going to be giving the commencement address. We've got 138 graduates who are going to be walking across the stage there at South Carolina State University, and we know they are so excited. We've got team coverage. We've got a team of reporters in Orangeburg as they are waiting for the presidential visit, as they are waiting for the president to get there to that area. But again, we are looking at live footage of Air Force One, the 747, as it's making its way here into Columbia Metropolitan Airport. You can see the security of the Secret Service. There's a lot of security out here as they are standing by to make sure that the president gets off the aircraft safely. And again, take a look at the weather. Take a look at the weather. It is a foggy morning here in the capital city. We had a little light drizzle earlier in the day. That has now stopped. And so we are getting a little bit of some visibility here. But again, you can see this giant 747 making its way into focus here at Columbia Metropolitan Airport. So again, for our viewers who are just turning in here to the special report on WLTX News 19, we have arrival of President Joseph R. Biden, the 46th President of the United States, here at Eagle Aviation in Columbia. As the President is getting ready to disembark from the aircraft, the President is just a few minutes early as he's getting ready to make his way into Orangeburg to speak at South Carolina State University. You can see the stairs are getting ready to be put into position. And again, we see Congressman James Clyburn and we see Columbia Mayor Mayor Steve Benjamin as they are waiting to greet the president. They are going to be the dignitaries that are welcoming the president here to the Palmetto State, here to Columbia. We had some people online asking if the governor was going to be here to welcome the president. I have not seen Governor McMaster just yet, but I do again see Congressman James Clyburn as well as Columbia Mayor Steve Benjamin as they are waiting for the president to disembark, to get off of Air Force One as we get ready to get into position here. Again, you can see the stairs, the back stairs of the aircraft. They're getting down. That's where we're going to have some of the press pool, the White House press corps. They're going to disembark. We can see some Air Force officers. They're getting off. When the president travels, he doesn't travel by himself. He doesn't travel like you and me. He travels with a whole contingency of personnel from the military. He's got the White House staff with him, as long with Secret Service personnel and security apparatuses with him too as well. So as these members of the President's Secret Service detail get off of the back of Air Force One, we're going to continue to watch the scene as it unfolds. Again, News 19's Brandon Taylor here at Columbia Metropolitan Airport outside of Eagle Aviation as we are waiting for President Joe Biden to get off of the aircraft. We can see the aircraft door is now opening. The plane is now open. We are waiting for the stairs to get into position here, again, as we get our first glimpse of President Joe Biden on this Friday as he makes his first steps here into the Midlands to head to Orangeburg, South Carolina. Again, we're watching this moment as it unfolds live here. Again, the commencement ceremony is set to begin about 10 o'clock. So the president has about an hour and 20 minutes here as he gets off of Air Force One to meet dignitaries. I don't know if he's going to come and to greet any of us. Of course, I'm going to make every effort to say hello to the president. We know Darcy Strickland had a one-on-one with President Joe Biden earlier this week, talking about a little bit of what we can expect. We know that the president is going to be talking about the importance of historically black colleges and universities. He's going to make mention of that in this speech today at South Carolina State University. The president is also going to be addressing the importance of broadband. And as we can see right here, as the door is open, we're going to take a wide shot here as we can see the Beast, the presidential limo, which is now getting into position. This is an outfitted Cadillac that has a lot of safety features too as well. So as I'm seeing the motorcade unfold here, it leads me to believe that the president might be traveling by car to Orangeburg. I don't have confirmation of that. Again, I am just saying what I'm seeing as we are again out here live at Columbia Metropolitan Airport at Eagle Aviation. But the doors are open. We now see our dignitaries. We've got the mayor of West Columbia. We've got Congressman Jim Clyburn, and we've also got the mayor of Columbia who are now making their way towards the steps. You can see them now live on your television screen right here as they're going to go on the other side of this Cadillac, the Beast, what it's called, the presidential limousine, as they await the president to get off of Air Force One. So let's take a moment. Let's take this all in together because it's always such a special moment when the president of the United States comes to visit your community, comes to visit your town. So again, we are excited here in the capital city to have President Joe Biden visiting us on this Friday. So again, the door is open. It is 8:44 here on a Friday morning, on a foggy Friday morning here in the capital city, but awaiting President Joe Biden as he is preparing to give remarks to the graduates, about 138 graduates at South Carolina State University. Again, that ceremony is set to begin at 10 o'clock this morning. So we see everybody is in place. We are waiting to see the 46th President of the United States descend the steps here of Air Force One. But I got to tell you, seeing this plane up and personal, this plane is big. This is bigger than any normal aircraft that we get here at Columbia Metropolitan Airport, if you are familiar with this airport and travel out of it often. But it is quite a wonder to see such a beacon of hope for the United States, such an icon for the presidency to be traveling. We remember that the former president, Donald Trump, he was here back in 2019. He made a visit to Columbia Metropolitan Airport, but it has been since then that we've had a leader of the free world here. But again, President Joe Biden is here because of an invitation of 6th District Congressman James Clyburn to speak at South Carolina State University. Again, these two men have a long-lasting friendship. They served in Congress for more than 10 years together, and it was Congressman James Clyburn that was so instrumental in helping to get helping to get Joe Biden that endorsement and that nomination to be the Democratic leader for the Democrats as they were getting ready to win. Okay, I see a little bit of movement. I see a little bit of movement here. We've got the White House press corps getting ready to get in place. We've got some staff members. News 19's Darcy Strickland. Darcy, you are in the studio right now, and we've got a team of reporters all over the Midlands. So tell us what you're seeing, my friend.
Well, Brandon, I tell you, you're doing an excellent job out there. And regardless of who you voted for, it, as you mentioned, is always an honor when you have the President of the United States in your city. So as you mentioned, we're looking at Air Force One right now, waiting for the president to deplane. As we were looking back on the history of how many times Joe Biden has been in Columbia, we lost count after about 15. We know that he has visited South Carolina several times. And in my interviews with Congressman Clyburn over the last several days, he's talked a lot about his relationship with the President of the United States, their relationship as politicians, their relationship as friends. He said specifically, Congressman Clyburn did in an interview earlier this week, that when his wife passed, when Emily passed, that Joe Biden, if you saw any of those billboards around the state of South Carolina, specifically around the Midlands, if you saw any of those billboards that honored her legacy, President Joe Biden was the person who put those billboards up. So the relationship between President Biden and Congressman Clyburn dates back decades. And so it is no surprise that Congressman Clyburn would be the one to extend the invitation to the President of the United States to be the commencement speaker, as he has the opportunity to march with the class of 2021. Yes, you heard me correctly. For those of you who have not been following this story all week, Congressman Clyburn graduated from South Carolina State University 60 years ago. But at that time, the university was only allowed by state law to have one graduation, and that was in the spring. Congressman Clyburn completed his coursework in December, so he did not march with his class. Oftentimes you'll see his name as a member of the class of 1962, and that's because on that commencement program his name is listed. But he was already working. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll pause because the President of the United States is now deplaning. As you can see for yourself, President Joe Biden meeting small contingency of folks who have gathered to greet him at the Columbia Airport. Difficult to say who he is speaking to because we're seeing backs of heads, but we know initially we saw Columbia Mayor Steve Benjamin accompany 6th District Congressman Jim Clyburn onto the tarmac to greet the president. If there's anybody in our booth who can tell me who the other two people are that the president is talking to, I appreciate that from our team behind the scenes. But it has been a very early morning for President Biden. He left the White House en route to Joint Base Andrews at 6:50 this morning. The president then left the airport in Washington, D.C. at 7:10 this morning. From there, the president arrived in Columbia about 10 minutes ago. And we're expecting him to leave the Columbia Airport by about 9 o'clock this morning. We're still unclear if he will be boarding Marine One or if the president will be taking a motorcade to Orangeburg. We have had a dense fog across the area for much of the morning, and with that in mind, it may quite possibly change the plans for how the president arrives at South Carolina State University this morning to offer the 138 graduates there the words of encouragement they need as they move into this next chapter in their life. As I mentioned just before the president deplaned Air Force One, Congressman Clyburn graduated 60 years ago from South Carolina State University, but today is the day that he marches. Today is the day that he crosses the stage and has an opportunity, just like the class of 2021, to finally turn his tassel. Congressman Clyburn being such a huge supporter, he and his wife of South Carolina State University, bringing millions of dollars back into Orangeburg County through his work as a lawmaker to make sure that HBCUs are never forgotten and always represented when it comes to having an opportunity to tap into the same funds that every other university in the country has access to. So as you can see, the doors of the Beast, which is the presidential limousine, are now open. That is a visual indicator that the president will be making his way toward that vehicle in just a few moments. But again, not uncommon to see a small contingency of people at the airport to greet the president on days like this. Brandon Taylor is reporting for us there live. Brandon, talk to us a little bit more about what you're seeing.
Yeah, Darcy, again, we are here live at Columbia Metropolitan Airport outside of Eagle Aviation. And what we're seeing right now is we are seeing the president embrace and greet people. I know we have, I think he's speaking to Amanda Alpert Loveday. She is somebody who is known in this community and has worked with the president before, and he's actually greeting her young two sons. So we're going to try to see if we can grab Amanda after this to see if we can talk to them. But the president has been spending several moments here in this line as he's been greeting about the 50 or so people who gathered out here on this Friday to speak with him and to hopefully get a chance to shake hands with him. And this is such a moment that so many of these people were hoping for and that they will remember. We see a lot of kids out here. We see a lot of children and a lot of babies and young people and even maybe some students who are out here too as well. But again, we are taking a live look at the president. He landed about 10-15 minutes ago. Then he descended from the staircase there of Air Force One. He greeted with the contingency the mayor of West Columbia. Then we also saw him speaking with 6th District Congressman Jim Clyburn as well as Mayor Steve Benjamin before he decided that he wanted to come and to greet people. And we know that this president is the president of the people, that he likes to be out there, to shake hands, to take selfies. We see him taking some selfies with some individuals right now. But again, Darcy, as you mentioned, it does to me, again, I'm not an official here, but somebody that's just taking a look at the scene, it looks like the president will be getting into the Beast, will be taking a car ride to Orangeburg. Originally, we were thinking that he would get on Marine One and that he would take the helicopter, the presidential helicopter, over to Orangeburg, to South Carolina State University. But from what I can see out here, I do not see a helicopter. I do not see Marine One, but I do see cars, see vehicles. So again, that leads me to believe that he's going to get into the Beast and will be heading to Orangeburg shortly. Again, he's set to speak at about 10 o'clock this morning. So he's going to have to get underway here in just a little bit if he's going to want to make it on time. But again, as the president travels, we know that traffic and congestion is no issue for him because he has quite the contingency of security personnel that are around him. But again, we are taking a live look at the president of the United States. I know it's hard to see because there are several people around him. He's greeting people, he's embracing, he's taking pictures, he's shaking hands. You can see several people with their cameras raised trying to get a selfie with the commander-in-chief. But again, he is here taking a few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, to talk with the people that are sitting here in the community who gathered out here on this Friday to meet with him. And again, they had to be out here early this morning as everybody had to go through security. So again, we see the president of the United States. He's shaking hands. He's taking time to engage, taking a moment to meet with the people who have supported him and who wanted to welcome him here to the Palmetto State. So again, Again, I see a little bit more action. It looks like the door of the beast, they are opening it a little bit more, so they may be trying to get the president to get on his way a little bit. But again, we see several people stopping to take pictures and selfies as the president has made his way here to the Palmetto State, here to South Carolina. We do expect the president to be here for several hours after he speaks in Orangeburg. He'll stay there for a little bit before he makes his way back here and then travels back to Washington. But again, a live look at President Joe Biden as he is greeting people. He is shaking hands. He is embracing, taking several selfies with individuals who are out here talking to people who I'm sure supported him during the last election cycle. But again, News 19, we're live on the scene, and we're going to have coverage throughout the day here on WLTX. We've got crews already stationed, positioned in Orangeburg. We're going to have coverage on air, both on air and online, as well as our News 19 platforms too as well. But you see a lot of smiles from what I can see. We do have several of the Secret Service and the president. He, of course, has his mask on, so it's hard to see his facial expressions or what he is saying to the individuals here. But from the people that he's talking to, I see a lot of smiles, and they are certainly glad to see the president here in Columbia. So yes, Darcy, we are waiting for the president to get into the vehicle, and then he will be taken to Orangeburg.
Brandon, your photojournalist is doing a great job. We have a great vantage point of seeing the president and, again, the group of folks who have come out to greet him today. In addition to that, because we've had such a good time looking at the folks in the audience, we've had a chance to kind of scan the pictures a few more times and identify the folks who initially greeted the president on the tarmac. Elise Parton, who is the mayor of Casey, Tim Miles, who is the mayor of West Columbia, and of course Steve Benjamin, who is the current mayor of the city of Columbia. So no surprise, the folks who run the cities that the president has decided to land in, West Columbia, Casey, and the city of Columbia, have come out to greet him this morning. So as you mentioned, the beast has its door open. It looks like the president will be making his way back toward that vehicle in just a few minutes to be en route to Orangeburg for that graduation. As I mentioned a moment ago, the president started his day very early this morning, leaving the White House at 6:50 this morning, flying into Columbia right about 8:35 this morning. The president should arrive in Orangeburg right before 9:30, and then that commencement speech in Orangeburg starts at 10 o'clock this morning. Folks who were invited to be there have been there since very early this morning. Obviously, there is a lot of security that goes into having the president of the United States in your city. And so on the campus of Orangeburg County, the people who wanted to be at that graduation needed to be there very early this morning. But President Joe Biden, known for being the kind of president who takes time to shake hands and speak to everyone who wants to speak to him. And with that being said, this is no surprise that he's taking a little bit longer in this receiving line than maybe even his security is hoping that he would have done this morning. Congressman Clyburn there, Mayor Steve Benjamin there, Casey Mayor Elise Parton, as well as West he plans to even be at the graduation at South Carolina State University. So we'll continue to watch the president as he moves his way down this receiving line. At this point, speaking to the press pool that is there. Brandon, I'm going to toss it back to you because you have a much better vantage point of what's going on with the president now.
Yeah, the president was just speaking to the press corps for just a few moments. He's now speaking to Columbia Mayor Steve Benjamin. They're sharing an embrace, and then from there, I think he will be getting into the beast, getting into the presidential limousine. But now you can see, yes, President Joe Biden is making his way into the presidential limousine. He is getting into the beast. It looks like Representative Jim Clyburn is going to be traveling with the president in the beast, as they are going to be driving down to Orangeburg on this foggy Friday morning. Now, we are just getting just a drizzle as the president is getting situated into the vehicle. Again, this motorcade is going to go from here down to Orangeburg, so it's going to take them a little bit longer than expected. Again, we were expecting the president to travel by helicopter by Marine One, but that does not seem to be the case. And I'm assuming, not a meteorologist here, but assuming it has something to do with the weather and has something to do with the fog. But as you can see, it looks like the doors are shut. It looks like the doors are secured. The president is inside of the beast. He is inside the presidential limousine. We're waiting for other members of the press corps and other staff members to get into their vehicles. And once this motorcade starts to move, you'll see how long this motorcade is. It looks like there's about 30 cars that are involved in this motorcade. But again, live look right now, a live view of the President of the United States after he landed here at Columbia Metropolitan Airport. After he shook hands, he greeted fans, he greeted some of the members here in the community for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then now the president is safely inside the beast and is traveling now, is getting ready to leave Columbia Metropolitan Airport. So if you are getting ready to head out on your morning commute and you are in the Columbia area, if you are near 26, if you are near West Columbia, just be careful, because there may be some lane and road closures as this motorcade is now en route to Orangeburg, where the president will be giving the commencement speech, will be giving the commencement address for 138 students who are graduating from South Carolina State University. So this was quite a morning here in Columbia, as we are watching the president now depart and leave Columbia Metropolitan Airport. But again, Darcy, we are live here at Eagle Aviation. It's hard for me to hear just a little bit because the engines of the plane are still going as the president is now leaving. But the motorcade is en route. They are on their way to Orangeburg, to South Carolina State University, where the president is set to give the commencement speech around 10 o'clock. Again, we're going to have more information online on WLTX.com as well as the News 19 mobile app. But again, Chris, let's take another look. We've got the presidential motorcade heading out. We're going to have more coverage on WLTX.com as well as the News 19 mobile app.
Brandon, thank you so much. So again, the president leaving Columbia Metropolitan Airport. That is the motorcade. The other shot in your screen that Brandon could not see is that we have team coverage all across the Midlands. This is Orangeburg. This is exit 145. If you're familiar with this area, right in front of Chick-fil-A. And so we believe that this is the route that the presidential motorcade will take. We have a team there. Whitney Sullivan is on the campus of South Carolina State University. She is prepared to go live once the president arrives there. Nigel Hood is also in Orangeburg County. She is working along with folks in the community to talk about the impact of a presidential visit to a community like Orangeburg. And so we've got team coverage across the Midlands for you. Not only will we be live on air for you today, but we'll also be live online and on our News 19 mobile app. So it's 3 minutes after 9 o'clock now. If you're running late for work because you just could not pull yourself away from the TV, go ahead, get in the car, get ready for work, go ahead into the office, because we've got you covered on multiple platforms, including all of our social media platforms. Wherever the president is, that is where News 19 will be today. As Brandon mentioned, that graduation starts at 10 o'clock this morning. The president will give his commencement address. He will leave Orangeburg approximately 1 o'clock. He'll arrive back in West Columbia about 1:20, and then from there he will leave Columbia and head to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for another event that the president will be at today. So it has been a very busy day for the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, starting his morning at 6:15 7:50 this morning, leaving the White House with plans to come to Columbia and from Columbia to Orangeburg, South Carolina, in order to deliver the commencement address to the students, the 2021 graduates of South Carolina State University. What an exciting day for those graduates. What an exciting opportunity for the student leaders at South Carolina State, and because they too will have the opportunity to meet the president. This is a live traffic cam. I-26 headed west. You can see for yourself that traffic has already been stopped. When the president is in town, he takes precedent when it comes to delays and the route that he gets to take when it comes to traffic. So this is I-26 headed west. That's near mile marker 112. From this picture, we can see that traffic is moving just fine on one side of the interstate and at a complete standstill on the other side as we are in anticipation of the president's route. Now, we talked with Alex Calamia early this morning about the fog. And when we were talking about the fog, of course, the conversation came up that the president was supposed to fly in on Marine One, land in Columbia, board Marine One, and fly from Marine One to Orangeburg. But with that said, there has been a tremendous amount of dense fog in the area, and we believe that might be the reason why the president's plans have changed. I don't know if Alex Calamia is available now to come up and talk a little bit more about that. Alex, if you are, we'd love to hear from you on the visibility issues and what it looks like right now and whether or not Marine One could still be a plan for the president. I know you can talk also to us about the traffic and the delays along I-26.
Right, absolutely. So we're seeing that backup, as you just saw moments ago, on Interstate 26 heading eastbound. But this is because of the fog that he has to very likely take this route because of how dense it is out there. I mean, we're not talking about a fog that's, less than half of a mile by the airport. The official observation is 0.6 of a mile. But what's unusual about this fog situation, Darcy, is just how humid it is outside. Dew points this morning were in the 60s and temperatures also in the 60s. This is record-breaking warmest low temperature for the day. The old record 58. We are very likely not going to get into that territory. So that's the reason why we have this fog. It's also our muggiest, our most humid day since October 13th. We have had dew points in the 60s all evening and all morning long. We're going to keep that humidity in the forecast as well. So it's all connected. This fog goes all the way to the Gulf Coast. So this is truly tropical moisture. And that is the reason why we are stuck with such low visibilities. It's truly an unusual situation for it to be this muggy outside, although fog in itself isn't necessarily that unusual in the morning, Darcy.
Alex, can we talk a little bit more about the traffic in the area?
Right. Let me pull up the traffic map that we have and show you some of the red that's showing up on our map. Now, the map itself isn't showing this backup because you can see the traffic camera is showing that complete standstill. And it does look like there's another area of red on Interstate 77 also. So if we have a traffic camera that shows Interstate 77 by the 26 junction, my guess is that they are also blocking Interstate 77 heading southbound by Interstate 26. So this would be right by the Congaree River, the overpass when you're leaving Columbia heading into like the KC West Columbia area on Interstate 26. So those two areas of red on our map are indications of what is likely stopped traffic. So this is only heading one direction. This is heading towards the eastbound direction on Interstate 26. And as you can see on Interstate 77 southbound, those flashing lights right by the Congaree River overpass, this is heading southbound on Interstate 77 toward Interstate 26. You're going to get stopped there because this is all to, clear the path for the president as he approaches Orangeburg. So either taking Interstate 77 southbound or taking Interstate 26 westbound by Airport Boulevard. That's your stoppage area. They are not letting anybody on beyond that point. So right now, just showing up on our maps as red heading that direction, but you're not going to go anywhere until they reopen those lanes. I'm sure along the way too they'll be closing exits. So this is certainly going to be a delay. If you're heading in and around the Midlands in this area, you're going to have to seek some alternate routes, some secondary roads most likely, so that way you are, getting to where you have to go before they reopen everything. I'm sure they will reopen things as, the president moves onward, so that way people can get about their day. But those are the two spots that we're watching, Darcy.
All right, Alex, thank you so much. And we imagine that once the president is done speaking at South Carolina State University, we could possibly see those same areas where traffic is being stopped again, unless, of course, the plans change like they did this morning. News 19's Whitney Sullivan is going to continue our team coverage. She is live on the campus of South Carolina State University. Whitney, the president has landed in Columbia. The motorcade is headed your direction. Tell us what it looks like at SCSU.
Well, first, let me tell you what it feels like, Darcy. You can tell people are excited that the President of the United States is going to be here on the campus of South Carolina State University. This is a big deal not only for the graduating class, but also for the city of Orangeburg. We've been talking to residents in the area who say they are excited to have the president here, and that they also hope that this brings more national attention to this city and the great community here. Now, I can tell you, just like the president had an early morning getting ready for his trip to Orangeburg, the folks in this city have also had a very early morning. They opened up the gates at 6:30 and they told everybody, get here as soon as you can. And that's because they have to park, then take a shuttle to the Memorial Center where the graduation ceremony will be taking place. But before they can go in to where the ceremony is going to be happening, they have to go through TSA style screening. Now, they told everyone you need to be seated and screened by 9:15. Anybody who is not in place at that time will be going to a building, an overflow room, where they will watch the ceremony live stream. Now, right now, I am in the parking lot in front of the library, and as you can see behind me, it's really calm. But if you take a look, you'll see this transit, the Orangeburg County Transit. They have been moving and grooving this morning because people have been parking, and they have been responsible for shuttling everyone to the Memorial Center where the ceremony will take place. Now, as you can see, there's even somebody down there running. So I think this is actually one of the last shuttles that is going to be taking people, because the deadline, the cutoff for getting screened and getting seated in the Memorial Center is coming close. But as you can see, it's pretty calm right now. There's been a steady trickle of people who have been coming in, getting ready, and this campus extremely secure. As you can imagine, the President of the United States will be here. All of the gates, you can't just go in. You have to be checked off in order to get in. Of course, that is for security reasons. Now, as you all have laid out before, it's going to be a big day, not just because the president is here speaking, but because Jim Clyburn, Congressman Clyburn, will be finally able to walk across the stage, even though he graduated in 1961. Now, as we were out here covering all of the people coming and going, getting on those shuttles, we also saw Jamie Harrison. He is the chairperson, the chairman of the Democratic National Convention. I was able to talk to him about why having the president come to Orangeburg is so important for this community.
I mean, two of my favorite people on this planet, Jim Clyburn and the President of the United States, Joe Biden, two folks who I call boss, right, are here in my hometown of Orangeburg, South Carolina, on the campus of South Carolina State University. This is going to be something that these young kids who are graduating will remember for the rest of their lives. But even more so, that their families, their parents, the people who sacrificed so much to get them to this point, it's just a remarkable way to send them off onto a very, very bright future. So it's a great day for Orangeburg, great day for South Carolina, great to have both a son of South Carolina State, Jim Clyburn, crossing that stage 60 years after his graduation, but it's also an amazing thing to have the President of the United States here in Orangeburg.
And what you just heard Harrison say is what everybody out here has been saying. This is just a really big deal, a momentous occasion. And honestly, no matter what side of the aisle you fall on, having the President of the United States here in the Midlands is a really big deal, and it is a huge honor. Now, again, the ceremony taking place at Smith Hammond Middleton Memorial Center, 9:14 is the time right now. Folks have 1 minute to get into their seats and be screened so that the ceremony can start. Now, we know that people are anxious. They're excited. They're ready to see the president, and that is something that you can clearly feel as soon as you step on the campus here at South Carolina State University. Now, we're going to be out here continuing to cover the coming and goings of everybody, but we're hopefully going to get a chance to see that motorcade come through. That would be a great moment right there to be able to see the president as he makes his way to this university. But for right now, we're going to send things back to you, Darcy.
Whitney Sullivan reporting live for us on the campus of South Carolina State University. On the campus. She's not off campus. She's on campus, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a look right off of exit 145, where we believe the presidential motorcade will be coming as the president makes his way to South Carolina State University to deliver those remarks at 10 o'clock this morning. It will be a quick visit to South Carolina for the president. He'll leave Orangeburg right before 1 o'clock. He'll leave Columbia by about 1:30 as he is scheduled to be in Philadelphia by 3 o'clock this afternoon. Again, this is I-77 headed south. Alex Calamia gave us a really good update, a history lesson today on the fact that this is the warmest low temperature we've had in South Carolina, and due to that, we had fog. That fog meant that Marine One couldn't take off from the Columbia Metropolitan Airport and land at South Carolina State University, and because of that, the president's plans have changed, and he is now traveling to Orangeburg via motorcade. So how do we know that the president was initially supposed to take Marine One? In an interview earlier this week with Congressman Clyburn, he told me that he would be boarding Marine One with the president, and that is how they would be traveling to South Carolina State University. Again, the weather put a change to those plans this morning, and because of that, traffic is at a standstill on parts of I-77 as well as I-26 as law enforcement makes way for the president to come into Orangeburg without any hesitation. This is the flow of traffic. Alex, I hope you are available right now. You read these traffic maps better than anybody I know. Can you talk to us about what we're seeing? There's a lot of red from Bluff Estates down to Dixiana on I-26 and I-77, as well as 26 near West Columbia through Casey as the president leaves the airport.
Yeah, so as you can see, the interstate is really a slow go right now. If you're heading towards the westbound direction, you're okay on Interstate 26, but it's heading eastbound that things are really slow. We'll get back to the maps and you can see Interstate 77 also heading southbound. So those are two tricky spots. If you're on the interstate, that delay is going to extend beyond those exits because this is Sunset Boulevard. You can see the red goes just past that. So if you're heading south from Interstate 26, which is technically the eastbound direction past Sunset Boulevard, it's a slow go, and you might be wondering why, because we saw on the traffic cameras things are starting to open up. Well, the reason why, of course, is because they did have to temporarily close the interstate to give the president that clearance. Also, we don't have access to the traffic cameras along the way. They have taken those offline on the SC 511 website. So this is all, as a precaution to make sure that the president's able to get to where he's going safely in Orangeburg. And this is certainly going to continue to create some delays. And I want to give a quick look at the visibility on the by the airport, because, of course, this was the reason why the president wasn't very possibly able to, take the helicopter. This would not have been the option. We don't know for sure if that was the reason, but we do know that there was plenty of fog out there this morning and still continues. And the reason why is because of this very anomalous, very mild morning, record-setting morning for low temperatures. If we don't drop to 58 degrees at any point today at the Columbia Airport, this does break a record for the mildest morning low temperature for the date, and that goes back to 1888. All of this weather coming straight from the Gulf of Mexico, which is running way above average for water temperatures. So this fog actually extends to the Gulf Coast hundreds of miles away. It's all connected. So this is certainly part of the reason why things could potentially become a little bit trickier. Muggy air, just to give you a little bit of perspective, determined by the dew point. We had 60-degree dew points overnight, which is the muggiest that we have been since October 13th, more than 2 months ago. And that has added layers to this fog situation across the area. Darcy.
Right, Alex, if there was one day we didn't need fog in the Midlands, it would have been great today. But here we are. Plans have changed, and the president is still heading to South Carolina State University. I don't think there's anything that could have stopped him from making this trip this morning. I spoke with the president earlier this week, and he talked a little bit about what he would say to the graduates. I'll get to that in just a moment. But what you are looking at now is video of the president at Joint Base Andrews. 6:50 this morning, the president left the White House. By 7:10, he was boarding the plane. Right before 8:30, Air Force One landed in Columbia, South Carolina. The president then getting off the plane and being greeted by a number of people, including the mayor of West Columbia, Tim Miles, the mayor of the city of Casey, Elise Parton, and the current mayor of the city of Columbia, Steve Benjamin, I should say. Air Force One, there you can see for yourself, waiting to take off. That was earlier this morning. Cloudy skies there in Washington, D.C. as the president was leaving. But again, as he has made his way to Columbia, landed at the Columbia Metropolitan Airport, the initial plan was for the president, along with Congressman Clyburn, to take Marine One from the airport to Orangeburg. However, the weather changed and plans changed because of the dense fog across the area. It was not just a headache for you trying to make your way into work today. It became a change of plans for the president. But no one does that better than the president of the United States and his security. They understand how to change plans quickly. And WLTX, I'd like to believe, does that pretty well as well. So we are now right off of exit 145, where we believe the presidential motorcade should be making its way there. Our team coverage started in Columbia, but we have teams all across Orangeburg. This is right off of exit 145 near the Chick-fil-A, if you're familiar with that area. Chandler Mack, our photographer, our photojournalist, there this morning. We have Whitney Sullivan, who is on the campus of South Carolina State University, as well as Nijah Hood, who is talking with business owners and residents in Orangeburg about what this kind of presidential visit means to Orangeburg County. Again, not the first time Joe Biden has been in South Carolina. He has been in the Midlands countless times. And as I spoke to the president on Tuesday about what his message would be for the students at South Carolina State University today, the 138 students who would be graduating, along with their family and friends who are coming to support them, he told me he wanted to talk about the importance of HBCUs, about the importance of historically black colleges and universities, not only to the areas where these schools call home, but to the nation as a whole. You don't have to look any further than the Vice President of the United States, who is a graduate of a historically black college and university, to know why these schools are so important and the history behind these schools. The history behind these schools is the reason why Jim Clyburn, 60 years after he graduated, is finally marching today. During a time when the other colleges in South Carolina 60 years ago were allowed to have more than one graduation ceremony, state lawmakers at that time only allowed South Carolina State University to have one graduation. So what does that mean to Jim Clyburn? That means because he completed his coursework in December, he was unable to graduate because lawmakers deemed it only necessary at that time for South Carolina State University to graduate in the spring. So the congressman didn't walk with the class of 1961. His name was printed in the program to march with the class of 1962, but at that time he was already working, he was already involved in his career, and so he did not march. When he was offered the opportunity to give the commencement speech today to the class of 2021, he said, "I would rather offer this opportunity to my friend Joe Biden. And when I asked President Biden what was his response to Congressman Clyburn offering him this invitation, he said, Darcy, it didn't take me long to say yes. And so that's why the president will be speaking today. The president and Congressman Clyburn telling me in separate interviews that there are a lot of similarities between South Carolina and Delaware, the president's home state. The president says, in addition to talking about the importance of HBCUs, he also wants to hammer home the importance of voting rights and making sure that, in his opinion, legislation that could be diminishing the importance of minority votes don't get pushed through. So the two things that the president wants to talk to graduates about today that he explained to me would be the importance of HBCUs and the importance of voting rights. We're going to turn things over to Whitney Sullivan. Again, she's on the campus of South Carolina State University as we await the president's arrival. Whitney.
That's right, Darcy. And I love what you have been saying, talking about the importance of HBCUs. As we know, South Carolina State is one of the premier HBCUs in the Midlands. And that's one of the reasons that people are so excited that the president is going to be here today, because it will draw national attention to the importance of HBCUs, but particularly the fine institutions that we have right here in the Midlands. Now, what I want to show you guys is an empty parking lot. And you might be like, Whitney, why are you just showing me a parking lot? Well, this actually speaks volumes, because the commencement ceremony doesn't start until 10, but as you can see, there's literally nothing happening because all of the graduating seniors, their invited guests, as well as South Carolina State employees, they are already in place in Smith Hammond Middleton Memorial Center. That is where the ceremony will be taking place. Now, they had to be seated and screened by security by 9:15. Understandable, because again, a lot of security has to go through, or there's a lot of security when you're dealing with the President of the United States. Now, they do have an overflow room for folks who don't make it here on time, and I can tell you they are being very strict about these timelines. They are being very strict when it comes to security, because not only is the president here, but you also are going to have, as you've mentioned, Congressman Clyburn here walking across this stage. So a lot of eyes are going to be on South Carolina State, and they just want to make sure that everything goes smoothly and that everything is secure. But it's really calm on campus right now because everybody is already inside that Memorial Center getting ready for the president. And so we know this is a big moment. We've been talking about it all week. And it's not just the graduating seniors who are excited and their family and friends, but it's also residents here in Orangeburg. This is going to be a great opportunity for people to get to know about this town, about this community, and all that it does to impact the Midlands, and just really how amazing community it is. You know, we have our street squad out here. Nigel Hood is in the community every single day, and we bring you those stories about everything that they are doing just to make South Carolina great as a whole. And so again, everybody's just really excited because they hope that the president gets a chance to see this community firsthand, and also an opportunity, they hope, to talk to him about some of the things that they would like to see an improvement with. One of the main things being broadband, as you have been saying earlier, Darcy. But right now, very, very calm. Now, for folks who are attending this graduation, and I have to make it clear, this was an invite-only graduation. Again, very strict procedures. There's a clear bag policy. Everyone had to go through TSA-style screening before they could go in. Even before we got here, a lot of the media was here around 7 o'clock this morning getting prepared. We all had to give our IDs, and we had to go through security ourselves because, again, they want to make sure that everything is smooth for the president's arrival. Now, what we're hoping to see is that motorcade. I've been telling you guys earlier, we're hoping to see that come through the campus. We're not exactly sure where they will drop him off, but we are assuming that it's going to be right by the Memorial Center, which is a little bit further down the road. But again, Darcy, a lot of excitement here. It's very, very calm right now, but that's because all of the action, all of the excitement is inside the Memorial Center where that ceremony will be taking place. So we want to say a huge congratulations to the graduating class of 2021 at South Carolina State University, and we know that it's going to be a big day to come. All right, Darcy, we'll send things back to you.
Whitney Sullivan reporting live for us in Orangeburg County on the campus of South Carolina State University. University. This is our live camera off of exit 145, right in front of the Chick-fil-A, if you're familiar with that area, as we await the president's motorcade to come this direction. We've seen the traffic cameras. We know that he is headed down set 26 and then, or down 77 and then down 26 as he makes his way to Orangeburg County. We've got teams not only at the airport where Air Force One just landed, but as you can see, Chandler Mack there, Whitney on the campus of South Carolina State University, and Nijah Hood also following the impact of what the Biden visit means to Orangeburg County. So we encourage you to follow us not only on air, but also online on all of our social media platforms and on the News 19 mobile app. But again, President Joe Biden in Orangeburg, South Carolina today to deliver the commencement address to the class of 2021. That class marching today, including one of his dearest friends, 6th District Congressman Jim Clyburn. We're going to be back on air in just a couple of minutes as President Biden makes his stop in Orangeburg, South Carolina.